Hello, everybody. My name is Caitie Hessenthaler. I am a second semester Master's of Nutrition Dietetics student, and today I will be talking about organizational development and the learning organization. So just a little overview. The first question I'm going to answer is, what is organizational development? I will answer that question and talk briefly about its history and important figures. Next, I will talk about Peter Senge and why he is an important figure in leadership. I will then define a learning organization and state what it entails. And finally, I will conclude with strengths and weaknesses of this leadership development. According to Peter Nordhaus, leadership is a complex process having multiple dimensions whereby an individual influences a group of individuals to achieve a common goal. Leadership is the ability to influence a group toward the achievement of goals by emerging from that group and sharing a vision and motivation to those around them. Leadership relates to organizational development because organizational development is the practice of helping organizations solve problems and achieve their goals. Also, I will be referring to organizational development as OD for the remainder of this presentation. OD is defined as the process of increasing organizational effectiveness and facilitating personal and organizational change through the use of interventions driven by social and behavioral science knowledge. It is a process of continuous diagnosis, action planning, implementation, and evaluation with the goal of transferring knowledge and skills to organizations to improve their capacity for solving problems and managing future change. A key importance is that OD supports the organization and its employees meeting their goals while learning new problem-solving skills. It is an excellent practice for introducing change and self-renewal in organizations because it focuses on the entire system. OD emerged out of the 1930s, out of human relations studies, where psychologists realized that organizational structures and processes influence worker behavior and motivation. Kurt Lewin is the founding father of OD, but he passed away before the concept became mainstream in the 1950s. He experimented with a collaborative change process based on a three-step process of planning, taking action, and measuring results. Recently, OD has focused on aligning organizations with their rapidly changing and complex environments through organization learning, knowledge management, and transformation of organizational norms and values. Organizational development has 8 objectives. The first is to make individuals in the organization aware of the vision of the organization. Number 2 is to encourage employees to solve problems instead of avoiding them. The third is to strengthen interpersonal trust, cooperation, and communication for the successful achievement of organizational goals. Next is to encourage every individual to participate in the process of planning. The 5th objective is to create a work atmosphere where employees are encouraged to work and participate enthusiastically. The 6th is to replace formal lines of authority with personal knowledge and skill. Number 7 is to prepare members to align with changes and to break stereotypes. And the last and final objective is to create an environment of trust so that employees willingly accept change. Moving forward, I am transitioning into a learning organization which developed out of organizational development and is a form of organizational development. Peter Michael Senge is an American systems scientist born in 1947. He entered graduate school at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, in 1970 and was inspired by the work of J. Forrester, who was a computer pioneer who developed what he called system dynamics. After Senge's doctoral work, He worked for 11 years being involved in developing and conducting Innovation Associates Leadership and Mastery workshops to the fifth discipline ideas that grew out of his and his colleagues' work at MIT. Peter Senge emerged as a major figure in organizational development in the 1990s and developed the notion of a learning organization with the book The Fifth Discipline. A learning organization is a company that facilitates the learning of its members and continuously transforms itself. The idea is that a community of people in diverse organizations can work together in a sustained effort to ground the basic learning disciplines in day-to-day management practices. This will help them overcome cultural barriers and develop better tools and methods. Send believes that changing how we think is the only way that we can change deeply embedded policies and practices. We must change how we interact in order to establish shared visions, understandings, and new capacities for coordinated action. People in general tend to see changes as in the outer world, not in our inner world. We are our own mental models, which are the medium through which we interact with the world. So the fifth discipline, there's obviously 5 disciplines that innovate learning organizations. The first is systems thinking, personal mastery, mental models, building a shared vision, and team learning. Systems thinking is the conceptual framework that allows people to study an organization as bounded objects. It states that all characteristics must be apparent at once in an organization for it to be a learning organization. If some characteristics are missing, then the organization will fall short of its goal. We tend to focus on snapshots of situations instead of thinking systematically. Systems thinking allows us to see the whole pattern of change within a system. Excuse me. Personal mastery is the commitment by an individual to the process of learning. This creates a competitive advantage when an organization can learn more quickly than other organizations. Personal mastery refers to a special level of proficiency. Those who possess the skill can consistently realize the results that matter the most to them and commit to a lifelong learning. A learning organization can be thought of as the sum of individual learning, but there must be mechanisms for individual learning to be transferred into organizational learning. Mental models are deeply ingrained assumptions, generalizations, or images that influence how we see the world and how we act. R.E. Degue says that a changing business environment depends on institutional learning, which is the process whereby management teams change their shared mental models of the company, their markets, and their competitors. For that reason, planning is thought of as learning and corporate planning is institutional learning. In creating a learning environment, it is important to replace confrontational attitudes with an open culture that promotes inquiry and trust. To do this, the learning organization needs mechanisms for locating and assessing organizational theories of action. The next discipline is a shared vision. When there is a shared vision, people excel and learn because they want to, and this creates general commitment instead of compliance. The most successful visions build on the individual visions of the employees at all levels of the organization. Applying the practices of a shared vision creates a suitable environment for the development of trust through communication and collaboration. As a result, this vision encourages the members to share their own experiences and opinions, thus enhancing effects of organizational learning. The last discipline is team learning. team learning produces excellent results as well as individual growth. The discipline of team learning begins with dialogue and involves learning how to recognize the patterns of interaction in teams. The benefit of team learning is that the staff grows more quickly and the problem-solving capacity of the organization is improved through better access to knowledge and expertise. So, what is the fifth discipline? These disciplines are not an enforced order, but a developmental path for acquiring skills. To practice discipline, one must be a lifelong learner. It is essential that these disciplines work together as an ensemble. This is why systems thinking is the fifth discipline, because it is the discipline that integrates disciplines. A learning organization is not built overnight. Most successful examples are the products of carefully cultivated attitudes, commitments, and management processes that have grown slowly and steadily over time. The first step is to foster an environment that is open to learning. There must be time for reflection and analysis, to think about strategic plans, assess current work systems, and think about the overall goal of the organization. The next step is to open up boundaries and stimulate the exchange of ideas. Boundaries inhibit the flow of information and keep individuals and groups isolated. Opening up boundaries ensures a fresh flow of ideas and the chance to consider competing perspectives. Once an open and supportive environment has been established, the leader can create learning forums. These are programs or events with specific learning goals in mind. Together, these steps help eliminate barriers that impede learning and begin to move learning higher on the organizational agenda. They also suggest a subtle shift in focus away from continuous improvement and toward a commitment to learning. So here are the strengths of a learning organization. It creates a competitive advantage, which can be acquired by organizational learning. One way of gaining this is through strategic flexibility. The continuous inflow of new experiences and knowledge keeps the organization dynamic and prepared for change. The next strength is increased productivity and efficiency. Another strength is that it maximizes employee potential. Prioritizing a learning culture is important, and humans want to learn and grow in the workplace, so maximizing their potential will keep them engaged. It also encourages creativity and innovation. And finally, it builds skills of the future. Skills such as leadership, communication, empathy, and conflict resolution come with a learning organization. Next are the challenges and critiques. There are many reasons why an organization may have trouble transforming into a learning organization. The first reason is time. Change takes time, and each discipline takes time to develop and progress. Another reason is uncertainty. Is this change relevant to the organization's needs? Is it pertinent to the goals of the organization? To combat this challenge, additional time should be spent on specific and daily issues of the organization. The next challenge is stubbornness and resistance to change. This is especially prevalent in environments where individuals have been there for a long time. As a leader, it is pertinent to win them over and help them understand that the change is for their benefit, not just the organization's. The next is there is a lack of direct leadership. A passive and mellow leadership style may be beneficial in some situations, but when initiating change, leaders need to be present and involved in all aspects of learning. The last challenge is that there is a lack of value for learning itself. Excuse me. For an organization to be trained as a unit, some individuals must learn new information they don't immediately need to apply. When individuals don't value new learning and growth in itself, it will make the aspect of organizational learning difficult. As the perceived barriers to change are removed, it is important that some new problem, not before considered important or perhaps not even recognized, doesn't become a critical barrier. And now in conclusion, OD is defined as the process of increasing organizational effectiveness and facilitating personal and organizational change through the use of interventions driven by social and behavioral science knowledge. The goal is to transfer knowledge and skills to organizations to improve their capacity for solving problems and managing future change. A learning organization is a company that facilitates the learning of its members and continuously transforms itself. The 5 disciplines, according to Peter Senge, are systems thinking, personal mastery, mental models, building a shared vision, and team learning. Systems thinking is the 5th discipline because it is the discipline that integrates disciplines.